What's that?
That was me doing this.
Wow, look at that crowd at the Devil Leafs game. Ouch.
Yeah, it's ugly, huh?
Ouch. Ouchie, 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 ouch. Deets, I need deets. That kid's such a pain in the crotch. It's funny though, he was coming at me hard the other day and I was trolling him right back and he went away the last couple of days. Funny. He can't take the retroll.
See, he doesn't give it to me, so I just sit back and enjoy
He's a
it.
funny kid. I'm not gonna say he's not.
Yeah, he comes out with some funny shit. He
he's
definitely
pretty
does.
he's pretty funny and his trolling is top notch and I think he knows it gets to some people and that just embodies him to do it more.
How great would it be if it's like Staple?
Yeah, right. Now they know who it is. They found who it was.
Did they? I thought they
Yeah.
didn't. I thought that was a joke.
No, they found who it was.
Oh, who was it?
I know exactly who it is. I got sent his profile and everything.
Oh, you gotta email me.
I'll send it to
Yeah. What's up, Pete?
you.
Give me the deets. Give me the deets.
Give me the deets on Pete.
Oh wait. That would have been good thing I did that before we went on.
Huh?
Nope.
I hate that.
Andy, I'm gonna ixnay your video, or you have to do it actually.
What?
Cut off your video so the band won't.
Oh, okay.
Especially since my internet is the doo-doos.
Turn camera off.
There we go.
Done.
Rich, give me the deets, Rich.
Done. I don't know. I just sent him an email again. I don't know where he is.
No, 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 no. Do the mashed potato. I forgot we have a game tomorrow. Yeah.
So my son got accepted to Rowan University.
Congratulations.
Yep, goes there in
Is he pumped?
September. Huh?
Is he pumped?
Yeah, he's pretty excited. He's pretty excited about it. I'm happy for him. He gets to stay in state. He gets to go away far enough where he'll be on his own, but close enough where if he needs to come home, it's only like a 2-hour ride instead of 5.
That's not bad.
Because his other choice was a private college up in Boston called Fisher College.
And that's a pretty deep it's a pretty deep ride home.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I mean, I'm pretty happy. I'm gonna miss the shit out of him, but it is what it is.
Listen, I'll give you my dad's phone number if you need to call and talk to somebody. He was a mess for the first like year.
Was he?
Yeah. He won't admit it, but I know he was because my mom tells me all the time.
My son is like literally my best friend. Like he's my boy. So it's gonna be hard to like come home from work and not see him and not be able to talk to him in person and shit like that.
Well, hopefully he'll be a better son than I was, and hopefully he'll call you and shit.
Well, it depends how much he's partying. I'm sure that'll stop once he gets meets a girl down there. I'm sure that'll all stop.
Yeah, it stopped way before the girls for me. It's that's the one thing I regret about the time I was away is that I didn't stay in touch at home for a long time.
Where did you go to school?
Oswego, so like
Okay.
six
Oh, up with
hours
Zella,
upstate.
where Zella goes.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, you went all the way upstate New York.
Yeah, that was the biggest mistake I've ever made.
Really? Why?
Shit, I thought 10 inches of snow was bad.
Oh,
Oh
it gets
shit.
really bad winters up there.
And the school is right off of I think it's Lake Ontario.
Oh, so
Like
you get the lake
literally
effect snow.
like literally 4 of the dorms, you look out the back window and it's like a little rock patch and then the lake.
Wow.
So we got all the lake effect wind and snow. It was awful. So I came home real quick. I made it 3 semesters.
Wow.
Hold on, wait. Go into the chat because I won't say this over the air.
I'm there.
Oh, like the private chat for the Hangout.
What do you mean? That's what I'm in the group chat.
No. Oh yeah, the one in the Hangout section.
I'm in the Hangouts.
Okay. Shit.
Okay, continue. Well, my son's gonna have a problem if that's the case.
Oh yeah. Oof. That wasn't a fun phone call.
Hell, what's going? I felt like Shane and we in college together. I must have tuned into his show. I know a guy who has a Saturday show on Rowan Radio. Oh, really? Nice.
Pete, if you ever say for days again in the chat, I may have to find a way to permanently ban your IP address. Lake effect snow for days. All right, let's get it started. And I went to send Rich a text, and apparently I don't have his number, even though I'm pretty sure I do, but I can't find it.
Because you are the worst.
You're the worst. You text him.
No, I actually don't have my phone on me.
I don't have my phone on me.
He's very reachable usually on email and Google Chat. So I don't know where the hell he is.
I sent him an email, but not a Google Chat. So let's get it started, and then hopefully he'll join us.
I don't know where he is.
I'm gonna send him one more email.
He was talking about the pod in the email chain earlier, so he knew it was tonight. I hope he's okay. I hope nothing happened.
I'm gonna send him one more right before we get started. Oh, what the fuck?
All right, before we get started.
All right, so you use Google, right? You use Gmail?
Yes, I do.
Did you get invited to use the inbox thing?
Yes, I did.
Do you like it?
I like it a lot. Once I got used to it, it took me about a week to get used to it, but now I love it. I wouldn't go back to regular Gmail at all. I like the way it automatically sorts and files everything.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that I like about it.
But you sounded like you didn't like it, so you just...
I'm confused still on how to use it exactly.
When did you get it? When did you get your invite?
Couple of weeks ago, I think.
Because it's still by invite, I think. I don't think they've...
Yeah, no, it's still by invite.
Yeah. It's really good. I like it a lot. I've had no problems with it. And like I said, once I got used to it, it was really, really good. Yeah, too close to love you. Too close to love you.
I just sent you another message, by the way.
I should go on Idle.
No, you shouldn't.
Got it right after what?
Read the whole thing from LMAO down to yourself.
I know I read that, but it says right after what? Continue, because you're not explaining that well. And now I'm more confused.
Okay, hold on. All right, so. There we go. That should be more clear.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got you.
All right, so one more tweet to let everybody know we're live. Podcast is live now. Join our chat here. Bam! Hashtag Isles. Hashtag best team in York. Hashtag Rangers suck. Damn. I should do it. All right. All right. You ready? Because I'm ready if you're ready. And don't yell at Scott. It's not nice. You don't want to yell at the listeners yet. All right, hang on. Here we go. Bam.
Boychuk to center point, skates the line, switches places with Letty. 10 on the power play. Boychuk shovels it behind the net for Strome. Strome in the left wing corner. Carries to the half wall. Above the left circle. Tavares right dot. Fakes the shot. Comes into the slot. Shoots. They score! The Islanders win it in overtime. 3-2 is the final. And they are mobbing John Tavares in the high slot. Right wing for John Tavares, too far out in front of him. And now Tavares with pressure on Mark Stoll, calls a turnover. Oposo shoots and scores! Kyle Oposo's 100th goal in the NHL gives the Islanders their first lead of the night. 3-2 in the opening minute of period 3.
All your New York Islanders news and expert Islanders analysis from the fourth line in Bridgeport to the first line in Long Island. This is the Dump and Chase Podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Dump and Chase Podcast. I am Shane Blackburn. You can follow me on Twitter at DumpandChase80. Alongside, as always, Andy Graziano. You can follow him on Twitter at Tasman19. Where Rich Diaz Rodriguez is MIA right now. We didn't know he wasn't coming, so we hope everything is okay. But you could follow him at RDNHL. Maybe send him a tweet. Tell him to get his butt in the podcast so we can have all three of us on here again. Because I hate when it's just me and Andy. He's the worst. I mean, hey, Andy, how's it going?
It's going to be a rough ride. It's going to be a really rough ride. I can see that already.
Well, you know what? The only bad thing here is going to be
a lot of bad things.
Well, but normally Rich is the voice of reason when me and you start to go at it over things. So this might just turn into an all-out brawl show.
It's a battle royale down to the final two contestants, no referee, and yes, I hate myself for talking about wrestling.
You should. You definitely should. Because I don't watch it anymore, but I have friends that do, and I heard it's going downhill quick.
There's and I don't mean to say this in a derogatory way, so please don't take it that way, even though it's probably going to sound like it, but there are way too many people 25 and older that still watch wrestling. I wonder if they still think it's real.
Maybe. The people I know that watch it know it's not. They watch it kind of like I watch NCIS, just to enjoy the story. Yeah, exactly.
But I think that when UFC came along, that should have you got to give credit to Vince McMahon in the wake of UFC. He's been able to keep that conglomerate just rolling along. It's pretty incredible, actually.
Ugh. Well, we have a lot of.
Good talk.
Well, I don't know. I can't talk that much about wrestling. I don't know that much about. We got to shift gears into hockey, where I know slightly more than I know about wrestling. I don't know a lot about hockey. But I know enough where I could hold a relatively intellectual conversation for a good 30 seconds before it goes off the rails.
There you go.
Thank God this is like episode 40-something, and people listening know that that's not true, because then they'll listen through the whole thing. By the way, we're doing pretty well. Just so everyone knows, we are doing pretty well. It's kind of exciting. I love... I do this because I enjoy it. Obviously, we don't do this as a job or as work. We do this because we enjoy it. So I'm glad other people are enjoying it as well. It's nice. It's nice to know people get enjoyment out of our stupidity.
Agreed.
But we do have a lot.
We are pretty stupid.
We do have a lot to talk about, including one particular Islander who was snubbed for All-Star Game MVP. Again, individual accolades mean nothing to me when it comes to the All-Star Game because that game is nothing more than glorified open hockey.
It's shinny, baby. It's shinny.
Yeah, I honestly I don't even like it. I'm very surprised I watched it this year because normally I don't. Normally I don't enjoy the All-Star Game. I watched a skills competition on Saturday and then that's it. I usually don't watch.
I didn't even watch that, believe it or not.
I actually watched it.
I watched the replay the next morning after I watched Black Sails, the debut of season 2 of Black Sails.
I got to get into that.
Yeah, oh my God, it's outstanding. It's got everything a show should have. Let me just put it that way, and we'll leave it at that.
But speaking of the All-Star, the skills competition,
yep.
It's By the way, Rich just emailed me back and said it's today with like 1,000 question marks and exclamation points, and then said, "Give me a sec, I'll set up." So he should be coming in soon.
I don't even want to. I'm not even going to respond to that right now. Let's just go.
But
like you
JT
said,
did
Shane,
not. JT wasn't too hot in the skills comp this year.
You know what, though? Again, the skills competition is time for the guys to just get loose and have some fun and kind of enjoy some camaraderie with their mates with no pressure, and they're not trying to kill each other in a game situation. I think it's more fun for us than it maybe is for them at times, but I think some of them do really enjoy the weekend and being able to get in that non-stressful environment with other members of the NHLPA. I think in terms of the game, like we just said, it's nothing but a glorified game of shinny. It's become a joke.
That's with all sports. I don't like any sports all-star game.
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And I think this year we saw, 29 goals? I think, what was it, 17-12 or something like that?
It was absurd.
And not getting an MVP in an all-star game that's so lackadaisical, if not non-existent on defense, and the goaltenders aren't even, I don't think, trying 100%. Whether you score 4 goals, 2 goals, 3 goals, 5 goals, it's just like the voting. It's all a popularity contest. It's just a big popularity contest, which is why I say get rid of it. Name your all-pros or all-stars at the end of the season for contractual bonuses, and that be done with it. That's the way I feel about every sport, not just hockey.
I do enjoy the skills competition, though. Like in the NHL, I love the relay. I think the relay is the coolest thing, watching different skills be put into one long competition.
Yep.
My favorite part is the saucer passes into the little nets. I think that's the coolest thing because I think that's ridiculously hard.
Agreed.
Philip Forsberg was utterly insane going through those pucks with the puck. When you watch him on the GoPro that he had on his helmet go through those pucks, he did it better than Kane. And if you do a stick handling competition better than Patty Kane, you're someone to watch out for with your hands. Obviously.
A lot of things came at me interesting in that. I thought that, in terms, I thought the breakaway competition was crap. I thought there wasn't much creativity there at all. The highlight for me wasn't so much Ryan Johansson grabbing that little kid, which was a great moment for that kid, something he'll never ever forget. I don't know whose kid that was.
It was their head trainers.
Oh, was it?
Kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think more I think more of the creativity and what these players have to offer in terms of personality came in when Jacob Voracek grabbed Johnny Gaudreau.
Yes.
Gaudreau absolutely sold it.
I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, that to me was the highlight. I think otherwise it was a very bland and boring skills competition for me, I think, on an overall level.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't love it. The hardest shot was cool. I love how that's the one that they hype up the most.
Yep.
Just missed the record with Shea Weber, so that was interesting. Accurate shot. No one went 4 for 4. JT, not too impressive, although he did almost kill Patrick Elias. So that could have distracted him a little bit because he almost killed one of my favorite veterans in the league.
Yep.
But again, it's just, to me, they might as well just give they might as well just give those guys the weekend off and just say, hey, come back and play a little open hockey amongst yourselves if you want, and do whatever you want.
Yep, I agree.
You guys can hear me?
Yep.
Hey, Rich.
I apologize wholeheartedly.
This guy. This guy didn't even realize it was Wednesday. That's my bad, though. That's my fault as the podcast director because I didn't send an email out this morning. I waited until...
He did it, but at about 4 o'clock, Rich mentioned it in the open email thread.
Yeah, he did. He said we have to talk about this on the podcast, and I was like, all right. So at least we all know it's on, but then apparently not.
And that's the worst part. I was thinking tomorrow we'll talk about this on the podcast.
This guy.
Anyway, so where are we with regards to that particular topic? Did we cover it yet?
We're just talking about the All-Star joke.
Oh God, Oh God.
And by the way, the league did a couple of things that they said they were going to do that kind of leaked out. They had the shot speed, and they had the trail on replays, and like the play trail and stuff like that. But they ended up not going at the last moment. They changed their mind and decided to not go with any kind of variation of the glow puck. Which was
God.
actually great news.
Thank God.
I think for everybody involved.
Worst idea
so.
ever. I did
Yeah, I
kind of
agree.
like the whole skating speed thing where they put the little bubble over the player and it said how fast they were skating
Yep.
or how long they were on the ice for.
Yep.
I thought that was pretty cool. Overall, I usually hate the All-Star game. Overall, it wasn't the worst thing in the world to watch. I actually kind of enjoyed watching it with my dad and my mom, but usually it sucks, but it wasn't terrible. And I went and I played men's league after that, so I felt old.
But nobody cares about that.
Yeah, everyone cares about that.
Nobody cares about that. I guarantee you.
Didn't you see the picture Elwood just posted?
You are a heavy hitter. I knew it. I knew you played with the big boys. Knew you played with the big boys.
Yeah, I'm an animal. Don't even
Crazy.
don't even ask. I'm an animal.
You looks like you could stop better than Chris Kreider. That's for sure.
Well, that's because Chris Kreider is well, first of all, full disclosure, I tweeted this out before he skated into Halak. I tweeted out that Kreider is one of the dirtiest players in the league. I said he's one step below Ronaldo.
All right, let's talk about that for a second because I know Rich has played hockey. I know he hasn't played ice hockey, but I know he's played hockey. You and I have played all levels of hockey, Shane. My feeling on that when I first saw it and watched it 4 times after that was, I really can't believe that Chris Kreider is intentionally looking to hurt goaltenders. But it has happened over and over again. So I started to kind of break the play down more so from an analytical standpoint. And could it be a function of just he lacks awareness, a.k.a. hockey sense, in those situations? Because he stopped awfully late. I mean, he slammed on the brakes when he was pretty much at the top of the blue paint, knowing that these are professionals. I even know that it's stopping is momentum based, no matter how deep you dig your skates into the ice. So for him to slam on the brakes that late, really, as I watched it today again another 4 times, kind of put the question in my mind: is it just lack of hockey sense or awareness?
No, I think
is he
it's the
barreling
exact
into
opposite.
goaltenders?
I think it's the exact opposite. I think he's fully aware of what he's doing, and I think he knows when he can get away with it and when he can't, and that's why he does it. I don't know if he's out there to hurt the goalie necessarily, but I think he's out there to get in their head. That way, the next time he comes barreling down towards the net in the back
Possible.
of in the back of Halak's head, in the back of Carey Price's head, they know, well, he didn't stop last time, so he ain't gonna stop this time either.
I think about it in 2 ways. Let's put it this way. There are 2 types of sins in the world, right? The sins of commission and the sins of omission. So there are players who are overtly dirty, and there are players who are seemingly accidentally aggressive, let's just say, right? And in Kreider's case, he's kind of in this gray area for me. I think that his type of play last night is very... Okay, hold on one second.
See, I don't. All right. So while Rich is figuring out his sound situation, I don't think that Kreider is necessarily just sneaky, gets away with little things, because he blatantly took someone's feet out earlier in that period, which is why I tweeted out what I tweeted out before he skated into Halak. He's just a dirty player.
But you know what? But he's a different. I think he's a much more sophisticated type of dirty player. I think he's the kind of guy who, like I said, like there's sins that you do and sins that you like accidentally do, if you will. But you're still conscious. You're still in control. And I think that with Kreider, it's not as overt. But I think the only way that you could prevent these types of injuries, like the one that Price had and the one that Halak could have had, you have to treat it the same way if you're the NHL, no matter what. I think that if you want this to stop, you got to suspend him, and then he'll understand. Then he'll have the hockey sense.
Yeah, but they're not going to. I mean, they didn't even give him a penalty in the game. They're definitely not going to suspend him.
No, he got a penalty last night for it.
But not the Carey Price one, so you knew they weren't going to do anything there. I'm surprised that he got a penalty last night.
No, that was a pretty dangerous play.
Yeah, but that's something you don't see called when there's a defenseman as close as he is, especially when it's against the Islanders.
because if you look at it from from the angle that we saw at home, which I'm pretty sure we all did here, that was all. He didn't stop.
No, he definitely could have done. He definitely could have done a lot more to avoid Halak than what he did, which is why I guess they did decide to give him the penalty for it. But he definitely could have done a lot more to avoid hitting into Halak in that situation. I think he's just a very dirty player, and I have more than one Ranger fan friend who agrees with me. They love him because he's on their team. It's the Sean Avery effect. You love him when he's on your team, but you hate him when you have to play against him. I think he's an extremely dirty player, and he's maybe one step above Zach Ronaldo.
You see, his speed is his weapon.
Come on, dude.
No,
really?
Yeah.
I don't agree with
You're
that.
going to compare Chris Kreider to Zach Ronaldo. That's
Exactly. Chris Kreider actually has talent.
That's the only reason he's above Ronaldo is because he has talent. Other than that, I think they're the exact same. I think Chris Kreider is just as dirty as Ronaldo.
Listen,
That's ridiculous.
Listen,
He's a better hockey player.
I think
That to me
Chris
is
Kreider.
ridiculous.
I think Chris Kreider. I think he needs to be sat down and be spoken to and kind of rein in some of that energy and that speed. I think if he's on a different team,
It's not just energy and speed though. It's the little crap he does behind the play. It's the sticks where they don't belong. It's the taking people's feet out.
Well, I mean,
I think
Grabner got his feet taken out last night too. That was a pretty dangerous play, also.
And I'm not gonna lie. When I played, I was a very I skated a thin line. If I was playing against someone like Kreider, and Kreider did that to Halak, the next shift I'm going full speed as hard as I can to the net, and if I take Lundqvist out, I'll take 2 minute penalty too.
That's the maturation of the Islanders, right? Because they regained their focus quickly on the game itself that had to be won, and they grabbed the 2 points.
Exactly, which is why I'm sitting here talking about it and not playing in the NHL.
Another reason too why it took Matt Martin so long to go at Tanner Glass when Glass gave him the stink glove.
But
for a perfectly clean shoulder hit on Mark Stahl, by the way.
Yes.
But
Who, by the way, is a waste of money and shouldn't be in the NHL anymore.
Again,
the Islanders
that's ridiculous.
Did in the end do the same thing though. Clutterbuck did throw a defenseman into.
Yeah, he got a bad penalty at the end of the second period.
But what I'm saying is that's tit for tat. So ish.
And tell me how. Someone please explain to me how the hell Lundqvist made that save anyway. Are you kidding me?
First, okay, no, good. I'm glad you said that because now we're gonna get into it because of your damn email today. Yes,
let's go.
Yes,
Let's go.
This game was much closer than 4-1, and Halak played phenomenal and really kept us alive through some of the periods of the game.
Yep.
That first period could have been 4-0 Islanders right off the bat if it wasn't for Lundqvist. We had at least 3 opportunities that, in my opinion, could easily have been goals, and then 2 or 3 other opportunities that, hey, you never know, a bounce one way or the other could have gone in. But there were 3 clear plays that should have been goals that Lundqvist kept them alive through that first period. So yes, I don't think it was. I don't think we dominated that game as much as Islander fans think we did, and Halak was a big reason for the win. But Lundqvist was just as big of a reason that it was only 4-1.
Islander fan, Henrik Lundqvist is widely regarded as one of the top 2, if not the best goaltender in the National Hockey League, and well deserved. He should be. He's the kind of guy who keeps the Rangers in a game like last night when they got outplayed in the first period pretty heavily. Yet at the end of the period, the score was 0-0. That's what he does for that team. Is he plays that well to keep them in games until they find their legs or wake up. And that's how the Rangers pick up a lot of their wins. It's a fine team philosophy, and it's worked for a lot of teams before. The second and third periods, the Islanders, I thought, got outplayed territorially. They gave up way too many shots, which they hate giving up 30 shots, nonetheless 40 shots. I thought they did a good job clogging lanes and blocking shots, yes, but with Evgeny Nabokov in goal, the Rangers win that game 5-3.
Andy, but to your point, so Lundqvist, for me, is on the wane. Great talent, and we both agree that Nash and Lundqvist are our favorite Rangers, and I can care less who says what about that.
That's correct.
But I have to say, so Lundqvist keeps you in for a period. Halak keeps you in for 2. And that's a difference now.
Agreed. But if any other goaltender that we've had in the past
Oh, no.
besides Yaroslav Halak is in goal, we lose that game 5-3.
Absolutely. We lose that game 5-3. We lose that game 12 months from.
Yeah, but at the same time, if Lundqvist isn't in net for the Rangers, we're winning 3-0 at the end of the first.
Valid point.
Yeah.
At least, because
But you're going to face goaltenders of that quality in the playoffs.
which is exactly
simple.
why we went out and
Except
picked
for-
up
except
Yaroslav
for-
Halak.
Except for Marc-Andre Fleury, of course. But
Which is exactly why we went out and picked up Yaroslav Halak. Because now
I agree, to compete on that level.
exactly, because
Right.
now we
I
have
agree.
that goalie that could do the same thing for us that the Lundqvist does for the Rangers.
You know, I don't know how things are going to play out in April. Nobody does. For us to say that we know is ridiculous, and we would never make that kind of claim.
Unless you're from the future.
But at the end of the day, Kyle Oposo, who I thought last week was looking tired and worn down, he did have 2 great games prior to the break, and then goes down for 6 to 8 weeks with an undisclosed upper body injury. I think you're going to see a very refreshed and energetic
Yes,
Kyle Oposo to end the season heading into the playoffs, which is great news for this team.
I was
I
just
think
going to
we-
say that.
I think we have way more than enough depth to offset his loss. And don't forget, guys, we're already down a week from the surgery, so you're now looking at 5 to 7 weeks. It's already shaved a week off of it. But I don't know what's going to happen in April, man. I just for me, the way the Islanders are playing defensively in inconsistent stretches, and the penalty kill scares me come the playoffs. I'm not going to lie. It
Yes.
doesn't make me feel all warm and fuzzy inside.
No, that's the scariest part for me about coming into the playoffs is going to be the PK.
And you could win with a crappy PK as long as you don't take penalties. And the Islanders have been very disciplined this year. I believe they're 9th in the NHL in penalties taken, least penalties taken, which is good news. They're in the upper 50%. If they continue to stay out of the box, then the penalty kill is not an issue. But if they get into a series like they did with Pittsburgh 2 years ago, where it's a penalty box parade, I have a real problem with that penalty kill in a playoff situation.
Yeah, I mean that's uncharted territories for the Islanders. I think that if everyone's talking about, well, I don't want to see the Canadians in the postseason. Listen, at the rate the PK is going, any team's dangerous.
No, you know the one team I don't want to see in the playoffs? I'll tell you this right now. I don't want to see the Rangers.
Now, you're totally wrong about that.
I don't know about that. They're a much different playoff team than they are in the regular season.
You know, I'm going to tell you something, and this is for me. I don't know. I've been watching the game as long as you guys have. The Rangers are the only team I want to see in the postseason. I'm going to tell you why. Because we have a better fourth line. Their fourth line was magic last year.
Well, I think we have a better fourth line than anybody in the league. So,
But the whole point is that what people fail to realize is that fourth line is the reason the Rangers went to the Stanley Cup Finals. That fourth line, 4 players, the 3 guys that compiled that fourth line, and Lundqvist. That is the reason the Rangers went to the postseason, all the way to the end. I think the Rangers are the weakest team right now to make it to the playoffs. The Canadians are fast. They play the same exact brand of hockey that we play, and they have better D. They have better D.
the Canadians scare me too, obviously, especially since we haven't beaten them yet either. They're the only team that we've played that we haven't been able to beat yet.
But to Andy's point, if you go toe-to-toe with the Rangers in the postseason, round 1, energy's high, emotions are high, we're in new territory again, the Islanders are fresh. They've never been to the postseason. They haven't been in a postseason in a couple of seasons, but it might as well be forever. It's to the Rangers' advantage. They're going to fall prey to bad penalties, making mistakes, working under pressure. And that's what Andy's point. Andy's point is the Islanders make these mistakes, they get in the box, the Rangers are going to be able to capitalize easily because this PK is in disarray.
Which
Right. It's going to all be about discipline. Every team comes along. Every season there seems to be one team that has another team's quote-unquote number, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the Islanders' season against the Rangers. I don't think the Rangers I don't think the Rangers beat us in a 7-game series this year. I don't. I really don't. Montreal's a huge fear of mine. I think the Islanders, for some crazy reason, have been able to handle Boston really well the last couple of seasons. We'll see again tomorrow night when the Bruins come.
Even when the Islanders weren't as good as they are now, They
Right.
always handled Boston
And
well.
we'll see that tomorrow when Boston comes to the Nassau Coliseum. Montreal, for some reason, this goes back to the last time I think the Islanders were really any good, and we lost to Montreal in the conference finals.
Remember with Benoit Hogue and all those beautiful.
Oh, you want to talk? I mean, I never really usually cry about officiating, but boy, did we get shafted in that series big time.
I was actually working at the Coliseum for that freaking series.
So
Wow,
what-
we got shafted.
So what would happen in a Montreal-Pittsburgh playoff series? Like, what would the refs' heads would explode. They wouldn't know who to call penalties for.
Pittsburgh's going to have a lot of issues in the playoffs, and I'm telling you why. It all comes down to Marc-Andre Fleury.
Fleury.
I still don't think he's mentally
He's a bum.
ready for the challenge. No, he's not a bum. He's not mentally ready for the challenge of the playoffs. I don't think he's ever gotten over that collapse. I think that losing Oli Mata just crushes them on defense. As great as Chris Letang is, losing Oli Mata is a big loss. And, Paul Martin's going to have to step up and play minutes that I don't think he's capable of playing personally. And the Penguins are a funny team, right? Because the Islanders set the blueprint for beating them 2 years ago, and the Flyers did as well. In fact, I think the Flyers set the blueprint and we followed it, and that's get in their stars' faces, agitate them, and it really does get them off their game. And people were blaming Blysma for that, but I think that I don't think that was a Blysma issue. I just think that's the way to beat them.
Malkin especially. You ever see Malkin when you get in his face? He loses it.
Yeah,
You can get Malkin off his game very easily.
Crosby's a little more disciplined.
Yeah,
and
not Malkin.
Malkin
I'll say this again. Sidney Crosby is one of the joys for me to watch in person, along with guys like last week I was really focusing intently on Claude Giroux, who's another favorite of mine to see in person. But Sidney Crosby, it's unbelievable. Can you guys remember the last time, if ever, you've seen Sidney Crosby get crushed? No. It's really unbelievable. His balance and his just strength on his skates when he gets really down low, it's almost unparalleled. I've never seen anything like it.
He never gets crushed.
Never seen anything like it.
The only person I like watching in person better than Crosby?
No.
Josh Bailey. No, but on a serious note, I hate how good Crosby is because it makes it so much harder to hate him because he is so good.
Well, this is true.
I never liked Gretzky, but I respected him.
I hate him.
Gretzky
Don't even get me started.
I actually thought Mario Lemieux was, for me,
I don't like Gretzky as a person.
I'm not going to say better because Gretzky was the greatest player of all time. There's no denying that. I don't even think there's an arguably in there. But Mario Lemieux, for me, was just unbelievable. And I tell my son every day to this day, it's a shame that you didn't get to see any of Mario because he was. I mean, you talk about a guy that just glides.
I mean, we didn't even really get to see much Gretzky.
I did.
I did.
But me and Andrew didn't.
Right.
You did it. But
I got to see the very end of him playing with the Rangers, which was an
The
utter
18
joke.
to 30-year-old age bracket didn't get to see much of Gretzky at all. The 40-plus bracket, like we are, got to see a lot of them. And
Did you see Shane? Did you see the Red Army team that was the Red Wings? I mean, Fedorov.
Well,
yeah.
Hold on, before we keep going, Scott, I agree. Ovi would be an absolute killer against the Islanders in a playoff series.
Oh yeah.
Ovi scares me tremendously in a playoff series with the Islanders.
You can just put a lazy boy chair right on the right, like the upper left-hand slot, and just sit there.
Look at what he does on the power play against us in the regular season. He scares me. He scares me in the playoffs.
It's the same damn play over and over again.
There isn't going to be a single team that's going to be a walk in the park for the Islanders in the playoffs. To me, a success this year, and I know everybody really wants us to go and win the Cup in the final season, a success this year is to win a round. To get into the playoffs, win the first round, and then from there, wherever it goes, it goes. But to show that we've taken that next step, that we're not just a one-and-done team. We've taken that step. We've been good all regular season long. Now we have to show we can win in the playoffs too. But no team is going to be an easy win. I would argue the easiest team for us to beat would be Pittsburgh.
Well, as I said before, there's no telling what's going to happen. Are we that year's version of the Carolina Hurricanes or the Anaheim Ducks, who just has that once-in-a-lifetime year and goes all the way to the finals? Or are we going to be the San Jose Sharks, who make it into the playoffs on a strong regular season and just totally flop
So
Nobody knows what's going to happen.
So let me ask you this.
There's no crystal ball for that stuff.
Would you rather be a team like the Sharks that is consistently in the playoffs but struggles and struggles to get to the cup?
Yep.
Or a team like the Carolina Hurricanes that had one miraculous Stanley Cup season and then has gone back to being pretty mediocre?
I'd rather be a team like the Ducks, who did that one season, and then kind of middled for a little while, and now we're one of the top teams in the league again. I think that the Islanders, with their talent pool and the fact that they're still at the bottom of their trend line, I don't see them being anything close to a Carolina Hurricanes situation if they were to even get that far.
I agree. I don't think they'll go back to being mediocre for a while. I think we're pretty set.
I want the Islanders to be like the 1979, 80, 80, 81, 82, 83 Islanders. I want a dynasty. Yeah. That's it.
I really think the days of repeating are
too much parity.
Yeah, the days of repeating are very, 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 very rare. Never mind the days.
The Red Wings are the last team that did it.
And what was that? How many years ago was that?
Like 10, maybe.
I mean, you have the only problem with this argument is that the Blackhawks and the Kings have won 4 of the last 6.
Yes.
But
the last dynasty.
That's going to be the kind of dynasties you see now is 2 out of 4 or 2 out of 5. You're not going to see 4 in a row. You're not going to see big time dynasties like that anymore. There's too much parity. The free agency is what kills because
that's what moves everything.
Yeah, teams lose the big name players, and the people that help you go from the 6th seed to the Stanley Cup go somewhere where they're going to get more money the next year. But I think the years of those kind of dynasties are over.
Let me just say one thing. You both are correct, but admittedly, the only team that can even come close to creating one would be the Islanders just because of the way Snow goes about.
No, Chicago.
Huh?
Chicago.
Chicago because they have the money and the talent now, but they're not built for dynasties. They're not. They're going to break up sooner or later. The Islanders are that kid line is a testament to how Garth Snow's hockey philosophy rolls out on a daily basis.
Well, look at it this way. Chicago now for the next 8 years has 2 of the best players in the game locked up on Chicago, and that's Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane. The Islanders, as good as we are, and again, as much as our trend line is trending up, don't have 2 John Tavarises, for instance. That's what I mean.
Although I think Ryan Strome could be very, very good, and I'm very high on Michael Del Cole.
And I'm high on Joshua Hosang. So
well, Jess Rubenstein, our prospect expert, is steadfast, and Jess has been doing this a very, very long time. And whether people want to believe it or not, I consider him to be a prospect expert. He's watched and studied kids from a young age to their maturation to the NHL for a very long time, so I respect his opinion greatly. And he is super high on Michael Dal Colle. Like he projects Michael Dal Colle to be an absolute monster, like superstar type monster. Like he mentioned him in the same breath as like a 23, 24-year-old Tavares.
Wow.
Yeah, he's very, very high on Dal Colle. Hosang, he said, is going to be more of a passer, more of a setup guy, and if the Islanders market him in Brooklyn, he could be a huge boon to the organization, which Rich has said repeatedly prior to Jess mentioning it. But Dal Colle, he is super high on.
Yep.
Can you imagine if Dal Colle develops to 3/4 of Tavares, even if he doesn't get to... I know there are people who think he can get to Tavares heights, but can you imagine if he even develops to 3/4?
And the great thing about Dal Colle is he's got size.
Yep.
You know, Hosang's going to face a little bit of a challenge at his size, and it sucks to say that because I'm a midget, but I think even a guy entering the NHL at 5'11", 6 foot is probably considered slightly undersized at this point. But Dal Colle has a lot of what you see in your prototypical stars, and he's not going to be rushed like a Connor McDavid or a Jack Eichel will. He's going to have the time to finish out his time in the OHL and play maybe a year in Bridgeport and kind of get used to the NHL.
Do you think he plays in Bridgeport next year, or do you think he does one more in the O?
Honestly, if I was the Islanders, I'd keep him in Oshawa for one more year. But Jess doesn't think there's anything left for him to do in Oshawa. So Jess's projection is for him to be in Bridgeport next year.
And can I just say that I'm moderately, like, as bad as this is going to sound, I'm moderately disappointed we're good this year. I was really hoping we'd be able to pick up Dylan Strome too and have the Strome and Strome connection.
Yeah, he looks pretty good actually. I saw him in the prospect game the other night.
During the World Juniors, woof, he could play.
Yeah, he's a really good player, and he looks exactly like Ryan. Whether that means crap, but
I wouldn't say that means crap. I mean, look at the Sedins.
I'm actually not sure if Dal Coll's eligible to play in the AHL next in Bridgeport next year. I got to look into that. I know there's some kind of weird rule with the OHL and where you were drafted from in terms of being able to play in the AHL. I'm not even sure he's eligible yet, so he may be forced to spend another year in Oshawa.
That's nice too, because then that's another year that's not eaten off of his ELC.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he's got to spend. I think I was having this conversation a couple of weeks ago with somebody on Twitter, and when I did the research, it was some kind of weird, like OHL draft thing where he's got to spend a minimum number of years in the OHL, even though he's of the age of the AHL, which is I believe 18. He didn't complete his requisite number of years in the OHL to be able to play at Bridgeport.
That's what I thought. I thought there was a certain amount of games you had to play before you can be bumped up.
Well, Scott, if that's the case, that it's either juniors or NHL, it's got to be juniors because he's down. I mean, I haven't
He's
seen
not
him
going to make
play,
the big play, yeah.
but I would say he's not going to jump into the. I mean, we have like 13 forwards that are NHL caliber forwards. I don't think he makes that jump this year, so it's got to be another year in the OHL.
This year in camp, they only played him in one game toward the very end of camp.
Yep. And he wasn't very impressionable when we saw him anyway.
Yeah.
I didn't think he stuck out.
All right, but
anyway.
Could we just? There's one more thing I want to talk about the Ranger game, and then we can get off of it for good. That Grabowski goal is one of the most beautiful Islander goals I've seen in a long time.
Agreed.
Mainly because it was Josh Bailey making the final pass.
Yeah, I figured that was coming.
I mean, I know, but he's been getting so much flack over the past couple of months of this season that it was good to see him make that nice of a play to set up a goal.
Yeah, I know, but we never gave him the flack. I mean, that's just social media. I mean, we know that we now know concretely that at least 10 of the 14 Islander losses are attributable to Corey Conacher, even the ones that we lost after he got sent down to Bridgeport.
Do you think that do you think that the all right? So let me ask this. This is a weird question. You think the NHL should add a third assist to the score sheet?
No.
Why?
I don't think so either. But I think it's very odd that that entire play was set up by John Tavares and he doesn't even get a iota of credit for it score sheet wise.
I'm actually in favor for dropping a secondary assist and giving 1.5 points for a primary assist, which I think is at times harder to do than score the actual goal itself.
The only thing I disagree with that is sometimes that first pass is really what sets the play in motion. Like that pass from Boychuk to Bailey.
Agreed.
What set up the pass back to Grabowski.
Agreed.
So I wouldn't agree with that.
But there are some primary assists that are harder to do than score the actual goal.
Oh, absolutely. Like the assist on Conacher's goal from Tavares, that the no look right to him in front. I mean, all Conacher had. Conacher could have fallen and still scored that goal. But obviously, a huge win for the Islanders against the Rangers last night. Now they have Boston tomorrow. It'll be interesting to watch that game as Boychuk will play against the Bruins. Not at home, though. It is at the Coliseum, so he's not heading back to Boston.
Who's in goal is the question.
Oof. What do you think?
Got to give Halak a break sooner or later.
Of course, I'm going to go Morris.
What about Poulin? I mean, just throwing that one out there.
That's a possibility. If Johnson continues to disappoint in his starts and his spot starts, I could see that being a possibility.
I think he gets a start. It's the logical. Anyway, we're talking about logic here, but I mean, the Islanders have disappointed me when it comes to this. I say, yeah, you give CJ the start. I mean, it's Boston, it's his former team, blah blah blah. Not that it really matters at this point with the poor plays given, but I think 2 more or 3 more at the most bad starts from CJ, and I think KP gets a legitimate shot to see if he can be the backup going into the home stretch here. We shall see tomorrow, though.
All right, hang on one second, guys.
The Dump and Chase podcast is in no way affiliated with the New York Islanders, Bridgeport Sound Tigers, or the National Hockey League. The views expressed by the host, panel, and guests are their own.
Letty moves it up the wall. Oposo, or rather Nelson, trying to sweep it out. He got it out to center, and Dallas has to chase it back to their own blue line. They turn it over. Franz Nielsen shooting for it. He scores! Franz Nielsen has the hat trick, and they'll ice it for the Islanders as they have a 7-5 lead, and the Hats are hitting the ice here at the Coliseum.
So a 4-1 win last night for the New York Islanders over the New York Rangers makes them 32-14-1. Good for first place in the Metropolitan Division and tied for first place in the Eastern Conference with the Detroit Red Wings, who seemingly came out of nowhere to take first place in the Atlantic Division and surpass the Tampa Bay Lightning. They also have 65 points. They've done it on 4 less wins, though. They're 28-11-9. So
you want to talk about an organization, holy heck. I mean, making the playoffs for over 2 decades consecutively is an incredible, incredible feat.
And yet, they're the team that the Islanders play so well against. It makes no sense.
Yeah, them too. Them, Boston, for some reason, just like I said, I'm very, very intrigued with tomorrow night's matchup. I think it's going to be a very, very good hockey game.
Should be fun to watch.
I am definitely excited, and thank God I'm going to go back to the Coliseum. It's been like for freaking ever. Jesus.
Yeah, that was a long stretch for me too. I have a very, very busy February coming up, but
thank God for that. Knock on wood.
And then March is another slow month before we wrap things up for the regular season anyway in early April.
Mm-hmm.
And then hopefully it gets real busy with the playoffs coming around.
Well, I'll be nice and refreshed and tanned. I'm off to Punta Cana in March, so.
Oh, that's right. Have
Yeah.
fun, bastard.
Yeah, March 11th we leave.
And congratulations to your son, by the way, sir.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Really awesome news.
Me and the wife are celebrating 25 years.
Good
in
for
the
you.
Dominican Republic. So.
It's a good year for you.
Well, let's let both of us come home alive first, and then we'll go from there.
Look at this guy. You're such a pessimist.
I think that's being realistic. I'm not sure if that's being pessimistic.
You're gonna watch any Islanders hockey while you're there?
No, I've been ordered to take a hockey break.
Yeah.
Complete hockey shut off.
Yeah, sure.
Good luck with that.
Good luck with that. Yeah.
Well, hell hath no fury as a woman scorned. So
Which week are you going?
March 11th to the 18th.
You're only missing really one good game.
Yeah. No, I'm seriously gonna try to really disconnect. I mean it. I'm gonna.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, it's not like you're missing anything crazy because you
I
leave
really need to-
You leave right after the Ranger game,
Right.
so you get to watch that and then you disconnect for a while.
Yeah, I really need to disconnect for the week and kind of just decompress and come back for the madness that will ensue. What worries me more than the Islanders, what might worry me more than the Islanders' performance in April is the performance of the Coliseum Wi-Fi. I'm wondering if I should get a hotspot for the month. Holy heck.
Is it getting worse? It's got to get worse with all those people.
It is terrible, Rich. It's terrible.
We'll find out tomorrow.
They tried putting the media on their own server, and it's still horrible. It's bad.
So you'll be tweeting as usual, and I'll just watch the game and report.
Oh, whatever. We'll work it out.
Well, I gotta go. I am sorry I screwed up the show today, but you guys are always the pros. So.
That we are.
So you guys, Brian Strait. Before I go, Brian Strait is on the uptick. I don't know if people.
Yeah.
Know, but
He's
he's.
playing well lately.
I will leave you with this thought. Brian Strait. We let him out of the doghouse. Yes or no? I'll leave you with that. You guys discuss that amongst yourselves.
What if
I'm not so sure it puts him out of the doghouse for me. I think he's had a couple of good games, and I've been impressed with his play lately. He's been steady, and that's really what you need out of a sixth defenseman, seventh if Wisnowski was healthy, obviously. Hey, look, if he's playing well and helping the team, I have no problem with him being in the lineup. And I had a problem with him being in the lineup because at the time he wasn't helping the team. So.
Well, I'm just gonna say what I told my dad yesterday. He always plays well against the Rangers, it seems. So I'm gonna take last night's game with a grain of salt, and we'll see what he does against Boston tomorrow night.
Yeah, that's going to obviously be a bigger test. Wisnowski is really close. He's been practicing with the team in full gear, contact jersey, so he should be back very shortly.
It's
And then we'll pretty much just be left with Oposo on the IR.
It's nice that Grabowski's back though.
Yeah,
Really-
he's a possession machine, so he should really work out on that first line with. We've obviously seen the chemistry develop between Tavares and Bailey, so I think putting a possession-based guy on that other wing could work out for that line.
Obviously, losing Okposo hurts the Islanders, but I think they're going to be okay. I don't think there's a need to go out and go clamoring for somebody.
All right, Scotty, hockey breaks are not just for the summer. Apparently you didn't see the pictures of Matt Martin in Turks and Caicos this past week. And the reality of the situation is, I think if I even mention like NHL, like even if I'm talking about something else, like just think of whatever NHL could possibly stand for in terms of the Caribbean, and I'm sure you guys have some interesting ideas on that. Even if I mean it in that way, I think just the fact that it's the abbreviation NHL would probably set her off. So. It's going to be a quiet week, I guarantee you that for me.
Well, as to Pete's point in the chat room, I think the lineup is what you saw last night. Unless things change and people start to struggle, I think the lineup is what you saw last night with Okposo out.
Yeah, I think they have to call up somebody, I think, for insurance.
Oh, yeah, you need that 13th forward.
You want that 13th forward in practices, working on the system, the current system. If there's any little changes that Capuano makes to any kind of system, you want that guy up and ready to play if he needs to. So it's going to be interesting to see who that is, whether it's Colin McDonald, whether they call up Conacher again.
I was just going to ask you, which one do you lean towards?
Do they give somebody else a shot? There's not really too much offensive depth right now in Bridgeport until Dalcal and Hosang arrive. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, if you're looking at, again, Conacher kind of flamed out in his first chance. He was put in a prime position with Tavares and couldn't make it work. And Colin, you know what you're going to get out of Colin at the NHL level, which really is just chip and chase. He'll give you a lot of effort, but not many results, and it'll be a lot of chip and chase. You already have arguably the best fourth line in hockey, firing on all cylinders right now. So I'm not sure where a guy like Colin McDonald would fit into the lineup. So honestly, I'm not even ready to make a prediction on whether it's McDonald, Conacher, or knowing the Islanders, it could be somebody totally off the radar and somebody new.
Well, there's two names I would look at for somebody totally off the radar, and that's Persson. I don't even know how to say his name. I think it's Persson.
John Pearson.
Persson. And
who's been up before.
And Kohlberg.
Kohlberg's hurt, so he's out. He's out.
It's his shoulder, right? But I think that's someone that we were talking about that on Twitter last night. But I think that's someone that
he's out of the picture for now.
I think it's someone they would have had their eye on. Was he not? Halmo's also another option because Halmo did pretty good when he was up at the end of the year.
But again, Halmo's the same situation as
don't
McDonald. You don't need another grinder. I think you want a guy who maybe brings some skill, and that's why I think you might probably, as Scott mentioned too, you may just call Conacher back up and have him as the spare forward. He'll pretty much play the Donovan role at forward and eat a lot of hot dogs. Matty had a great tweet today. He's had a couple of great tweets lately, actually. He's really getting the hang of the Twitter and using hashtags to its fullest potential. He just mentioned something about, did you see Tavares in the All-Star game? You should see what he does to me in practice. Hashtag he's good. Hashtag I'm bad. And then he said somebody said last night, tweeted at him, Grabs, and a couple other Islanders on Twitter, great game, loved the effort tonight. And Donovan goes, yeah, it was really tough. Those hot dogs almost won out. So he's really been getting the hang of Twitter lately, which is cool. It's good to see him keeping his sense of humor and his personality through what's been a tough season for him.
So can we just jump off of the Islanders for 1 second? I want to talk about. I
always get scared when you say that, but let's give this a shot. Go ahead.
I want to talk about the KHL.
Why?
And the fact that they're decimating their salary cap, and how all the fear that had accumulated earlier a couple of years ago that the KHL was going to rival the NHL and Russian players were going to leave to play at home is pretty much all but dead now.
Dead? I think the first guy you're going to see come crawling back is Ilya Kovalchuk, who is
that's where I was going to go with it.
He's not by any means ready to retire at his age and skill level, and I've always liked him as a player. I've always thought he brings an exciting element, and I wanted the Islanders to sign him that year that he went to New Jersey, even though looking back, he would have did the same thing to us that he did to Lamoriello. So.
But I was gonna ask if he comes back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the exact ruling is on that. He's a free agent, right? He comes back as a UFA?
Kovalchuk, I believe he would come back as a UFA, yes.
The question is, do you go after him as the Islanders?
I don't know what the Islanders' salary structure is going to look like at that point. I was kind of trying to go over it briefly the other day using NHLnumbers.com, which is kind of the only cap geek replacement right now. And, the Islanders are only going to have about 13 to 14 million at the end of the day to sign their guys in the offseason, one of which is Boychuk, one of which is Leddy. We know we got Nelson, Lee, Hickey. So I don't think the Islanders are going to have the money for a big signing like that when all's said and done.
Obviously, Boychuk is number one priority as a UFA.
Agreed. Yep, agreed.
So that's where I think a majority. And again, the only thing that Mark Stoll is good for right now is destroying the free agent market.
Boychuk was going to get his money regardless.
Yeah, but now it's going to be that contract is insane.
I know. It is. You're right.
Any middle of the pack is look at what Mark Stoll's getting. Yeah. And then boom, it's up like $2 million.
I like Mark Stoll. I think Mark Stoll's a good player. I don't think he's a top of the line defenseman, but I don't even think he's that. I don't even think he's that good anymore. After the I think he's significantly. He's got his game back, though. I think
he's regressed more so than progressed since the eye injury. I don't think he's back to what he should have been.
Yeah.
As an NHL defenseman, and I definitely don't think he's worth that contract.
No, I don't think he's worth that contract either, but I'm not going to go trash the guy and say he's a crappy, sixth defenseman because I don't believe that.
Okay, that's fair. He's definitely not worth what he got though, and now the defenseman contracts. We're going to be right back in the same situation we were in 2 years ago in a couple of years.
When this current CBA expires, and I think it still has 6 or 7 years left on it, 7 years maybe.
I think it's 6. 7 is the option. I think it's 7, but they could option out at 6. I think.
On this current pace, the NHL will lock out again. You heard it here first on January 28th, 2015 at 9:39 p.m. If they keep up this current structure, the NHL will lock out again. Done. Boom.
I agree. I definitely agree with that, and that makes me extremely upset, but I definitely agree with that.
Scott wants to know what your problem is with Mark Stoll specifically.
I just answered him. I said I think the eye injury set him back too far.
Okay.
I think I had high hopes that Mark Stoll was going to be the best out of the 3 Stolls.
Well, I think I think Eric's kind of fallen off the wagon, I think, a little bit given the situation in Carolina.
I mean, all 3 in their prime in the NHL, yeah. I had high hopes that Mark was going to be the best of all 3, but I think the eye injury set him back too far. I think he's a 4 guy for me. He's a top 4 guy, but 4, in my opinion. I'll give you 4. And I agree, Scott, the Girardi deal is going to come back to bite them, too.
Well, the Rangers have always been a team, especially lately, that's built from Lundqvist out. And you saw that last year with the huge extension that Hank got. And again, he should have got that. Now you're seeing it with Girardi. You're seeing it with Stahl. They got McDonough locked up.
McDonough is phenomenal, though. I would throw absurd money at McDonough to keep him.
The thing is, McDonough, Girardi, Stahl, John Moore hasn't really worked out the way they wanted him to. Kevin Klein's been a revelation this year, but don't think you're going to get that every year from Kevin Klein. And the reality is the Rangers' farm system is not really that stocked. So it'll be interesting to see them going forward manage the cap, which is only going up by like $2 or $3 million. It's going from 69 to like 71.5, 72, depending on the Canadian dollar, holding its current value of like 80 cents. So.
I was just going to say something about the Rangers defense, and I completely forgot. Oh, I mean, I know this is an Islanders podcast, so some of our Ranger commentary may come off a little skewed, or you may interpret it as skewed. But a couple of years ago, I was the first person who was lobbying that McDonough should have had a shot at the Norris. So, it's not that I hate. It's not that I don't give Rangers credit where it's due. I just don't think Stahl is what he should have been.
No, I think we're fair and objective. I think we're probably the most fair and objective website, as opposed to all the other blogs that put out information. I think that we're probably the most fair and objective, as we need to be.
Wait, can I hold on 1 second? I got to ask Scott something because I hope I read that wrong. Is Stahl getting $1 million more a year than McDonough?
I believe so. Let me check. Hold on.
That's absurd.
Check right now, real quick. And Scott, like I said, the Canadian dollar right now is at 80 cents. Gary Bettman already said during All-Star Weekend that right now, if that doesn't move as much, and it's not expected to, that the cap will be roughly $71.5 million. So it's only going up by $2.5 million from its current 69 range.
That is
Ryan McDonough, Scott is correct. Ryan McDonough has a $4.7 million cap hit, and he's signed for the 3 years after this one. So Ryan McDonough's cap hit. Actually, Mark Stahl, even though he's getting $5.7 million in real dollars, is only on the books for $3.975 as a cap hit.
Yeah, but McDonough's real dollars of 4.55 and then 5.1.
Right, they're $1.2 million to $600,000 less.
That's insane.
But the Girardi deal, as Scott mentioned, is a problem. $7 million, $6 million, $5 million, cap hit of $5.5. Girardi's a type of player who I love, blocks a ton of shots, heart and soul guy, but the type of game he plays will lend him to wear down quicker than most.
And yes, Scott, the Tavares contract is the best contract in the NHL. I mean, that's absurd that he's $6 million a year until 17-18.
Yeah.
And you know what? You want to hear another good contract for the Islanders? Travis Hamonic.
That's correct.
He's only
Garth Snow. If there's anyone, the Islanders can quote unquote crap the bed for the rest of the season, and I still don't think that anyone other than Garth Snow gets the Executive GM of the Year award. There's just no other. There's no other possible outcome.
So, let me put you on the spot here, Andy. Oh, wow. Yashin comes off the books this year. That's fantastic.
He does, yes.
That's beautiful. It's about time.
2.204 comes off the books, as does
Kirill Kabanov.
Kabanov's 900,000. So that's about $3 million, and then you throw on Wisniewski's 4.75 cap hit. Oh, I'm sorry, Kabanov's cap hit is 0, so that doesn't matter. So Yashin's 2.2, and then Wisniewski's 4.7 is like a little over $6 million. The Islanders get back there.
So let me put you on the spot here.
Mm-hmm.
What gets it done for Boychuk? It doesn't matter what team. I don't care if it's the Islanders, if it's the Bruins. What
Boychuk wants?
Give me a number.
Boychuk wants, from people that I've spoken to about it, he would like to get a 7-year deal, but he would settle for 6 in the right dollar range. And that dollar range is believed to be anywhere from $36 to $40 million.
I'd give him 6 for 38.
I wouldn't even take a chance. I'd go 6 for 40, and I think he signs that in a heartbeat.
I would go 6 for 40. I would 30 years old, arguably our best or second best defenseman on the team. Because I still think Leddy is underrated. I think Leddy is arguably number 1. But 30 years old, I'd give him 640. And then
I'd like to give him 636, but I think that'd be close. That'd be close to what he would take.
And then Leddy's only 23, and he's an RFA. So what do you think gets him done?
Well,
barring a ridiculous
season he's coming off 3.4 in actual earnings with a 2.7 cap hit. Honestly, the Islanders might do a 1-year bridge deal with him. The Islanders
think they would risk that?
They might bridge him out at 3.5 or 4, and then say, you know what, we'll talk next year.
You think they would risk that?
They might. They might. It's unless you're talking about bumping Letty up to 4.5. But again, like you said before, that Stahl contract throws a lot of things out of whack.
Now, the only other thing I could see is if someone offers him a ridiculous contract and forces us to match it.
Which never happens. You don't sign offer sheets in the NHL anymore because it's just not good business and it makes too many enemies. That's why you don't see it happen. I'm not worried about anybody signing anybody to an offer sheet. I'm really not. Now, I mean, looking ahead again to the summer after that, like this year we have Nelson Lee, Boychuk, Letty, Hickey, what to do with Donovan. In 16-17, you have Grabner, who I don't think is going to be on the team by then, unfortunately. I love Michael, but I don't think he lasts that long.
Especially if Ho-Sang and Dal Cole continue to...
Exactly. You also have Kyle Oposo, Franz Nielsen, Ryan Strome, Matt Martin, Casey Cizikas. So
and
those
then Brian Strait. So that he's...
I didn't say that. Those are some big names coming up as well in 16-17. So
well, the UFAs are Grabner, Okposo, Nielsen, Martin.
Right.
And RFAs are Strome.
Cizikas and Strome. Right. Who you're not worried about. A guy who's an RFA, you don't really worry too much about because you control.
And Strome's going to get locked up. That's almost a given.
I agree. I agree with that.
I think depending on
Martin and Cizikas will sign cost-conscious deals.
Yes, they will.
A ton of money.
Because they're not going to get a ton of money on the market from
elsewhere,
other teams.
Right. It's Nielsen and Oposo you have to really focus on at that point.
Although I don't know about that, because at that point, Franz might be on his way out.
Maybe. He's going to be 32 at that point.
Yeah, he's already 30. We're going to have Dal Cole, Ho-Sang, Strome, Nielsen, and Nelson. Strome, Lee, and Nelson will have another couple of years under their belt. We may be looking at the last couple of years of Franz Nielsen in a big-time aspect for the New York Islanders. Kyle, I think, is the UFA that year that is going to get the most attention.
Yep.
Like you said, I think Grabner will be gone too, much for the same reason. I think Franz may be on his way out.
Not enough space. Not enough room. I mean, you can't have all these guys locked up and nowhere to play them.
So, and who knows? Maybe even see. I mean, we're looking 2 years from now, so you may even see trades or
Yep, true.
Or the like that may even affect the free agent signings for them for 16-17 even further. So
absolutely.
Again, it's extremely hard to look at stuff like that now. For now, we just have to focus on Boychuk. To me, Boychuk is key. I mean, you have Nelson, Lee as RFAs, and Letty as an RFA, but to me, Boychuk is priority number one.
And I think Boychuk came into this with the impression, let me just see how it plays out. Let me see and I think the team winning definitely swings some momentum to Garth Snow's favor. There's no doubt about that. I think Boychuk is clairvoyant enough to see the future in this team, to see that the core depth is still young and could be around for a long time. And I think that definitely gives Garth Snow a little bit more, I'm not going to say leverage, but assistance in selling the team to Boychuk.
I agree with Scott that Cizikas might look for a bigger role. I think, but I think of the three on that line, Clutterbuck would be the one who would have the most interest from outside, but he's signed up until 17-18. But I think there may be teams who would be interested in Cizikas, but Scott, he's an RFA that year, so again. And I don't know about that, Scott. I'll let Andy take this one because I know Andy's not huge on Reinhart right now.
Nope.
I think losing Boychuk is a pretty big deal because I think Reinhart and Pulak replace Wisnowski and Strait. And
I don't think anything is the end of the world, so I'm not going to sit here and say that if Johnny Boychuk decides to sign elsewhere, that it totally undoes everything that Garth Snow did, and it's horrendous. Now, obviously social media will react that way, but I'm not a big Reinhart fan right now, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm a prospect expert or a scout, and I'm going to read into the future and know what Griffin Reinhart turns into. Right now, I'm not happy with his development so far, and he's still very young, mind you. He's a big kid, strong kid. I just think for me, in this day and age of the NHL, you have to be mobile, you have to be agile, or else you better play like picture-perfect positioning every shift, and that's what worries me about Reinhart. Pulock, I think is going to be fantastic. I think, again, you don't know what these guys are going to develop into, but you can see Ryan Pulock as being that big offensive presence from the blue line with a Johnny Boychuk type booming shot. So Pulock I'm extremely high on. But again, you're talking about losing Wisniewski, losing Straight, probably losing Donovan. So yes, Reinhart and Pulock are there in the system, but you're also losing depth off the big club as well. Minus Wisniewski, minus Straight, minus Donovan. Now if you minus Boychuk, that's why I do think Boychuk is not an absolute must sign, but
he's priority number one.
I think he's priority number one, absolutely.
And after that, I think Letty's priority number two, even though he's an RFA.
Because of his status, he's number two.
And then Nelson and Lee are like 3 and 4.
They'll get done. I'm not worried at all about Brock Nelson and Anders Lee getting done, at all. Anders Lee waited patiently. He's been given a great opportunity this year, and he's showing a knack for goal scoring. He's showing a knack of playing the game the way Jack Capuano wants it played. So I see no trouble at all signing Anders Lee or Brock Nelson.
So, Scott, if that happens, then you'd be looking at, let's say, Hamonic and DeHaan, Pulock and Letty, Hickey and Reinhart. I think Boychuk's name is a big addition to that six.
So Scott basically called me out last week for saying that Ryan Pulock might, quote-unquote, turn into a Shea Weber type defenseman, not Shea Weber, and now he's saying that Pulock could replace Boychuk right away. I don't know. Color me confused.
I think I agree with Andy. I don't think losing him is the end of the world, but I do think it's a big hit to the Islanders if they do. I
would like to see him stay based on. I would like to see him stay also for the sole purpose of making a commitment, as John Tavares did, making a commitment to the organization and saying, you know what, I see something here. I sense something here. I'm going to make a commitment to the organization. That, I think, says a lot. It has a lot of reverberations out into the hockey world. And, I think the Islanders have had a lot of work to do with the circus, and I'm going to say that fairly, that the organization both on and off the ice has been over the past 20 years. And it takes a long time to build that reputation back up. Winning, as we've seen this year, helps that. And I think a Boychuk signing will go a long way as well to helping that. Helping their credibility level continue to rise.
I'm gonna skip 3 stars for this week because they only played one game since we last spoke.
Who?
The Islanders. So
yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna skip 3. No, Boychuk is by no means Shea Weber, Scott.
He's confusing what I'm saying. I'm saying that to me, Ryan Pulock in his early development. He just reminds me of him. That's all. His size, his shot, his offensive ability, his offensive instincts that I've seen early on. He just reminds me of that. That's all I'm saying. Whatever.
But I think Boychuk is priority number 1, and that's
my 3 stars from last night are pretty easy. Jaro Halak number 1, John Tavares number 2, and probably. I'll give the 3rd star to Hamonic only because he just did what he does pretty much every game, and that's go out and give maximum effort and lay himself on the line and then do a heck of a job as I think one of the next assistant captains of this team.
Yes. By the way, are they going to replace Okposo?
Are they going to replace Okposo with what? What do you mean?
With a call-up? Doesn't Okposo have a letter?
Okposo has a letter. They gave it to Cal Clutterbuck last night.
I didn't see who they gave it to.
They gave it to Cal Clutterbuck, which was a nice kind of recognition thing for what Cal's done this year. And I think Cal's had a fine season. I think he's what he's come in and done has essentially replaced and dismissed all this Nino Niederreiter garbage, in my opinion. It's not always every guy's not always the perfect fit for a team, and I think that each team in that situation got what they wanted. Minnesota wanted a more offensive guy, younger guy that they can groom. They got Niederreiter. The Islanders wanted more of that grinder, physical presence to go along with Martin. And as we've seen this year, and as I've mentioned many times since putting that fourth line together of Clutterbuck, Cizikas, and Martin, they've been arguably the best fourth line in hockey. And I don't think there's much argument there.
I wouldn't argue with you at all on that one. With that, I think we should wrap up. We're a little bit over an hour. Again, only one game on the docket to talk about. The All-Star game is a joke. The Ranger game was nice to watch. Coming up, we have a pretty fun schedule coming up. I mean, we have Boston tomorrow. We have Detroit on Saturday. After Detroit, we have a 2-day break. We play Florida on Tuesday, and then we'll be back on Wednesday the 4th. So, pretty 3 decent games. Boston should be an interesting game to watch. Detroit's been playing well as of late. And Florida's middle of the pack this year, so a game to keep an eye on. After that, we'll have Philly, Boston, Buffalo, Edmonton. So 2 trap games and coming up in the second set of games in February. Something to keep an eye on because the Islanders never seem to play well in trap games. But as we wrap this up, the Islanders are 32-14-1. They're in first place in the Metropolitan Division and tied for first in the Eastern Conference. So Islander fans, enjoy it. Andy, is there anything you would like to plug before we get out of here?
Nothing for this evening. Have a good night. Have a good week, everybody. Enjoy Islanders hockey, and we'll talk to you next week.
And I'd just like to say, check out the DumpandChasePodcast.com, IslandersInsight.com. Follow us all on Twitter. Get us on Stitcher, iTunes, and on YouTube. And I'm going to go watch the Kings because I'm pretty sure they're on in a minute on NBC's Rivalry Night. I can't speak. Rivalry Night. So I'm going to go eat and watch them. Everybody enjoy your night. And until next week, let's go Islanders. All right.
All right.
You gonna learn today.
Yeah, so I'll finish up with Jack on the copyright stuff in terms of the music. Now it just piqued my interest when I was listening to our exit music. What if you went 7 seconds or less, non quote unquote meat of the song, but looped it?
Ask him about that.
Does that count? Like, if you loop 2 7-second clips, does that count as 7 seconds, or does that count as 14 seconds of the song?
That probably counts as 14 seconds.
You think so?
I'm not 100% sure. That's a good question. We should find out.
Because you could do some real. I mean, EDM music is really easy to loop because it's pretty much the same beat.
Yeah. It's insane.
So you could just like take a 6 second. You could even take 6 seconds and just loop it, and it's going to sound pretty seamless. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's the same kind of beat, same bass. Nothing really changes too much in the beat. So
It's the same beat.
I'll talk to him tomorrow about that.
Even. Yeah, definitely find out about that. I'm gonna go eat and watch some.
Yeah,
games.
you're gonna learn today.
You're gonna learn today. I love him. I might have to watch him after I watch hockey.
Did you see the SNL clip of them doing the NFL today with the Patriots scandal? I posted it on my Facebook. You didn't see it? Go on my Facebook and watch it. It's from I think I posted it yesterday or the day before. Go on my Facebook and watch it. It's the SNL did a NFL Today parody of the Patriots scandal. It's absolutely drop dead hysterical. Me and my son were crying.
Where are we? Oh, okay, I'll have to check it out.
It is absolutely awesome. You have to watch it. It's like a must-watch. And for all you still hanging on here, my son, as you know, is a blood-sucking Rangers fan, but he is also an aspiring writer/journalist coming up through the ranks. I'm trying to teach him the right way to do things. He's writing for FullTiltRangers.com and the FullTiltHockeyNetwork.com, and he got his first. They're trying to branch him out and give him more NHL assignments, not so much strictly Rangers stuff, which I think is great for broadening his horizons. And his first assignment ended up being a piece on the Islanders, which was kind of ironic. So I posted that on my Twitter at Tasman19 and on our Islanders Insight Facebook page if you want to check that out. He did a really good job with it.
My food's getting cold. You keeping me on
Okie
here.
dokie.
You keeping me on here, you old man.
Hold on, let me just answer. Scott.
I could get you the rights to Mikey Wax music, but can't use a song. Oh, that's all right, Scott. Keep in touch. And Elwood wants you to get your son on Rowan Radio.
Well, Elwood, you said you knew someone, right? So why are you telling me to get him on there? If I don't know anybody and you know someone, wouldn't you get him on there?
Ba-da-da-dum.
Color me confused. I knew a guy
Very
who
easy
had an
to
internet
confuse.
radio station. He just played unsigned bands, so that'd be good too.
Yeah,
Elwood can get us any of those clips. Some of those guys have really good music.
I have a couple unsigned bands.
Like I said, I'm going to finalize everything with Jack tomorrow. We're very lucky to have Jack on staff because he really does great work with this stuff, with the copyright stuff. He's a copyright lawyer, so that's what he does, and he agreed to work for us pro bono and help us out. So I'll talk to him because what I really want to envision is using the "Come With Me" by the Congos, part of that for the intro, and then maybe using some EDM for the middle and end. But like I said, I'm real curious listening to our close tonight on if you can loop it. So that's really my last question. Then we can finalize things for next week's show, if you can find the time, Shane, to get everything done.
Listen, don't make me smack you.
Well, you can't really smack me because we're not in the same room. So that'd be a pretty good trick, though. I don't believe in magic, but I think I would if you could do that.
How freaked out would you be if you turn around and just get smacked right now?
My first piece when I got to college was a girl from Purdue. On that note,
I love Elwood. Elwood's the man.
Oh man, thank goodness it's good. I'm glad he's around. That's pretty funny stuff. That and the picture of you with Vanek was priceless.
Listen, just because I'm an animal,
You are an animal. You're a goddamn animal.
I'm a goddamn animal.
You're a goddamn blood-sucking animal. Close friend of mine, MikeyWax.com. I love the name, Mikey Wax. That's fantastic. He is kind of boy bandish. Like NSYNC. Like NSYNC or Boys to Men. It's two different types of boy bands. Right there.
Let's see. Hold on 1 second. Then I really got to go eat. I'm getting hungry.
Me too. I haven't eaten either. Mikey Wax. I'll probably just have a bowl of cereal though.
I'm gonna route it through. Actually, I don't want to do that because I don't know him. So, all right. I'll listen to it. I'll listen to it after we get off here.
Yeah, listen to it. Let me know if you find anything interesting. Scott said he can get us the rights to it, which is really appreciative. Thanks, Scott.
All right. With that, I'm outie.
All right, guys. Elwood, Scott, Pete, thanks for tuning into the chat. Tell all your friends. Get them in this chat for next week. I really want to see this take off. I want to see 20, 30, 40, 50 people in here if possible. I think it'd be a blast. Hey, if we don't, the show goes on, but I'd like to see us try to build this chat up. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate all the comments and
The
questions.
chat's a lot of fun. The chat is definitely a lot of fun.
Elwood just sent some new ones on Twitter.
That's what I just went to look because I'm a little.
I went to look. As soon as he said that, Shane rushed right over. What the hell did he post now?
All right, that one's not bad. That one's weird. He's got you by the Stanley Cup with Grabner.
Oh, he does?
That one's cool.
He made me an edit?
That one's cool.
Maybe I can go back to FarFan with that with some deets.
Give me the deets. Give me the deets.
He loves deets. He loves to have a lot of deets.
All right.
Elwood cranks out these edits pretty quick. I'm proud of that. That's awesome.
All right, thank you guys. Yeah, make sure you get your friends to come in and chat with us because the chat's a lot of fun. And until next week.
The second one he made you was great. Oh my god.
Until next week.
All right, guys. Have a great night, you animals.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.